Our good friend Susan G Howe is back to make another entry in the Wrath series. Today, we'll examine the second lie she's told to the courts. Susan Howe, if you remember, is the Assistant Attorney General assigned to my appeals case. To follow up on a previous video, she eventually did file her response to our opening brief in June of 2018. In her response, she makes a specific mention of Kerensa and 3 anarchists, before she goes on to describe the way in which they deliberately and aggressively confronted me for merely filming a public event. Well, wait a minute here. There's just one problem with Miss Howe's claims. Here's surveillance video of multi-time federal felon Benjamin Kerensa and his mob of thugs planning their attack on me. How many individuals do you see here? Not counting Uncle Bob and 2 bystanders, I see Ben Kerensa and 6 anarchists. That makes a total of 7 aggressive thugs. Now, why do you suppose Miss Howe would want to mislead the courts into believing there were only 4 people who attacked me? Oh, here we are. According to ORS 166.015, the crime of riot is committed when an individual with 5 or more people engage in tumultuous and violent conduct that puts the public at risk. Riot is a Class C felony. Clearly, the actions of Kerensa and the 6 anarchists meet this statutory definition. But by lying to the courts, Miss Howe is trying to downplay the effect that Kerensa's actions had on me, and she's attempting to minimize the level of threatening and violent behavior that Kerensa and the others engaged in on that evening, thus misleading the courts into believing that a person would have less reason to be in fear and, as such, would have less reason to have to act in self-defense. Either that, or Miss Howe is incapable of doing basic math. She is a state employee, after all. Or perhaps she has a cognitive disorder that clouds her ability to be objective. Or she's just failing to do her due diligence. None of these things reflect well on the Oregon Department of Justice and Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum. But as explained in a previous video, it seems as though those who lie to the courts are rewarded, and those who are honest get punished. Is that the way our legal system should operate? Visit youtube.com/laughingatliberals for more on the landmark case that legalized mob violence in the streets and nullified one's First Amendment rights to freedom of the press.